What's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Popcast. I am DK Wrestler.
And I'm MD Shady.
And in today's podcast, it is the Wishlist podcast. We are doing a top 10 wish list for the year of 2025. We usually do this podcast every single year. We've done it for God knows how long now. I forget when we first started, but it's been at least a few years, of course, that we've done this type of podcast where we list off 10 pops or pop sets that we want to see in the following year, which I'll be completely honest, this year was a bit difficult, not only because usually what we do is that we don't copy anything we've said in the last couple of years just to make it a little bit fresh, but also because during the year I had been making this list throughout it. However, some stuff that I actually wrote would be currently in the rumor mills, example being the Back to the Future 40th anniversary set. So unfortunately, I had to take that off. There's a couple other sets that was exactly the same thing, so it was a bit difficult to try and think of some more. And then usually through the year, if I see something, it's like, oh, I need to write it right now before I forget for this wish list. Yeah, I don't know what it was for you also, MD. I know that it took you a little bit to come up with your wish list this year.
Yeah, it definitely has, especially when you're not repeating things that we've already said. Eventually, there's a point where there's only so many pops that you can have or essentially want. So I wanted to keep it to stuff that, if this came out, I would actually, absolutely 100% go to the store that it's going to and buy it, rather than just stuff that I think would be cool to come out. It's stuff that I would actually add to my personal collection, and I think I came up with a pretty good list. Some stuff that I never really even thought about being in pop form before.
And so to begin this podcast, before we go into our wish list for the year of 2025, like we do for this podcast, we like to look back on the lists that we've done the last couple of years and see if any of them have essentially come true, or perhaps maybe some are in the rumor mill, so they are possibly about to be true. So the last 2 years, of course, at this point would have been 2023 and 2024. So I'll mention off my list and then talk about MD's. So starting off with 2023, the first list that I had wrote down was a set of the Office Pops, which would feature Asian Jim, Dwight Schrute as Jim Halpert, Robert California, Lady Gaga Gabe, Nurse Angela, Oscar as Rational Consumer, a Jim and Pam as Popeye and Olive Oil 2-pack, and Michael as Daryl. And this is an example of a set, if I didn't mention it in 2023, I likely would have written down and I wouldn't have been able to, because there is a set of the Office Pops that are set to release in 2025, and none of what I mentioned in my wish list from 2023 is a part of that, but it does say just Dwight Schrute by himself, so maybe Dwight Schrute as Jim Halpert would be the pop that they come up with. Then on the list I had wrote down WWE, featuring a set with Cody Rhodes, the Usos 2-pack, Sami Zayn, Lita, Natalya, Kane vs. Undertaker in-ring moments, and an American Badass Undertaker pop rise. When I mentioned about this in this particular segment on last year's wish list, the only ones that had came true were Cody Rhodes and an Usos 2-pack, and I guess for this year there was also extra pops of that, as we had gotten the Cody Rhodes with the torn pec and the Fanatics exclusive Usos 2-pack where they are wearing the white attire. But additionally this year we finally did get a Sami Zayn Funko Pop in the form of him wearing the honorary Us t-shirt. However, all the other ones, they haven't had pops yet. Then I wrote down an Ozzy Osbourne Bark at the Moon pop albums, which it technically has came out, but not exactly, because we did get the announcement of a exclusive Bark at the Moon Ozzy Osbourne. It's a flocked pop. However, it still hasn't hit up stores yet. And there was actually, I read a Reddit thread recently, as early as a couple of weeks ago, where people were getting cancel orders, your order has been canceled. So this might actually still be a pop that hasn't exactly released yet. Then I wrote down a Linkin Park Meteora pop albums, which this has not happened. It could happen though, because of course Linkin Park getting back together, having Emily Armstrong as the singer now, and them going on tour in 2025. So there could be a likeliness of more pop albums or even individual pops. Then I wrote a Green Day Woodstock 1994 Pop Deluxe Moments. This has not happened. We haven't gotten any Green Day pops since that initial 3-pop set back in 2021, but really surprised there wasn't any this year, with it being the 30th anniversary of Dookie and the 20th anniversary of American Idiot. Then a set of Finding Nemo pops that feature Nemo, Dory, Marlin as a Pop VHS covers, Nigel, Gil, Chum and Anchor as a 2-pack, and then Darla. There was no Finding Nemo pops here, and I think I wrote this down because it was the 20th anniversary of Finding Nemo at that point. A set of Elf pops that would feature a 6-inch Buddy the Elf in School Desk, Walter Hobbs, Buddy Doing the Splits Moments, Miles Finch, and a Walter and Buddy 2-pack. And no, there was not a new set of Elf pops that came out in 2023 or 2024, but currently in the rumor mill, there's supposed to be a Series 2 of the Elf Funko NFT set. So there could be a chance that some of these could end up going onto the list, which you guys definitely should check out that video of me predicting NFT sets. A set of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide pops featuring Ned Bigby, Cookie with P. Cookie Chase, a Jennifer Mosley, Coconut Head, Seth Powers, and then a Lisa Zemo with Chase. No, there unfortunately has not been any Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide pops, and at this point, if they were to do it, it's likely it's only the 3 characters of Ned Bigby, Cookie, and Jennifer Mosley, none of the other characters, and possibly maybe a P. Cookie Chase, or an exclusive, but I think that would be the likeliness of those coming out. Pop pay-per-view posters that would feature WWE No Mercy 2007 with Randy Orton holding the dove, Judgment Day 2008 with Triple H in the orange jumpsuit, WrestleMania 18 with both Hollywood Hogan and The Rock, and then WrestleMania 10 with Razor Ramon with the IC titles as examples. So we technically did get this in the form of Pop WWE covers. We got 2 of them in separate ones where it's like Hulk Hogan and Mr. T, and then Hulk Hogan and Andre for WrestleMania 1 and 3 respectively, which I don't like how they did that. They should have just put both of them in the same cover and just make it a little bit bigger, but it is what it is. We technically did get a new Hollywood Hulk Hogan in the form of the Fanatics exclusive singular pop. And then my last one for 2023 was a set of Small Soldiers pops, the Gorgonites, the Commando Elites, Allen, and then Major Chip Hazard and Archer, whether it's singular pops or in a 2-pack, which still, unfortunately, there is no Small Soldiers pops. However, I will throw up a photo right now of an actual pop movie posters made by a person in a Small Soldiers Facebook group that myself and MD Shady are a part of, and that was really awesome, whoever custom made that, because I would buy that in a heartbeat if it was actually a real thing. And I don't know, sometimes I was constantly like, can I figure out who this person was and contact them to make this exact same thing for me as a custom, so that'd be pretty cool. But now we are going to MD Shady's wish list for 2023. The first one for 2023 is Earthworm Jim.
No, we have not gotten an Earthworm Jim, which is unfortunate because I think that there could be some really cool pops to be part of this set.
Parappa the Rapper.
No Parappa the Rapper either. That kind of sucks. I was really hoping for that, but maybe next year we'll see.
A set of Kim Possible pops featuring Kim Possible, Ron Stoppable, Rufus, Wade, Shigo with Chase, and Dr. Draken.
No, we haven't got any Kim Possible pops either, which is very unfortunate. I think that this set would do very, very well, so maybe one day, hopefully.
Which I should mention also, Kim Possible has been mentioned in a leaked list. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, Kim Possible, Ron Stoppable with Rufus as a pop and buddy, and then Shigo. So almost your entire list is pretty much correct besides a couple. And then listed here, which I will mention, I guess, technically it spoils the answer for this, but an Ed, and Eddie 3-pack.
And yeah, I believe that that is also in the rumor mill, so that'd be pretty cool. I'm not sure if it is a 3-pack or not, but I have heard talks of us getting some Ed, and Eddie pops.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it is separate pops of Ed, and Eddie, and they even refer to, like, when they were writing the list, they said double D. But yeah, and I think one of them has a chase. I'm not sure which one it is, but it did say that one of them had a chase. So a total of 4 pops. Then a set of Arthur pops that features Buster, Binky, Brain, Muffy, Francine, and Mr. Ratburn.
Yeah, we still only have the Arthur and DW pops, which is very unfortunate. I don't even have those in my collection. I definitely need to grab those, but I'm surprised that we didn't see this set expanding this year.
A Young Gravy and Baby No Money 2-pack.
Unfortunately, yeah, this one has not happened either, but both these stars seem to still be getting bigger, so maybe eventually we'll get them added to the Pop Rocks lineup.
A Daft Punk 2-pack.
We also haven't got the Daft Punk 2-pack. I think that these would translate very, very well into Funko Pop form, but now have split up. So I don't know the likelihood of seeing this, but maybe one day we can.
That 70s Show featuring Eric Foreman, Donna, Kelso, Fez, Red and Kitty 2-pack, and an Eric with Vista Cruiser rides.
This has got to be one of the more upsetting ones for me because, yeah, we haven't seen any of that 70s show pops, and I was thinking that maybe we'd see pops for that 90s show, but that show is also canceled now, so it's unfortunate because that 70s show is one of my favorites.
A set of Ad Icon pops featuring Chef Boyardee, Billy Bob, Geico Gecko, Pud, and Bic Boy.
We haven't seen any of these characters in the Add Icons lineup, and honestly, this year's been kind of lackluster for Add Icons pops.
Technically, we did get Geico Gecko in the form of the Geico Ween Gecko, which we did mention last year while revisiting this. And then last but not least, what you wrote down for 2023 is a set of Bob the Builder pops that feature, of course, Bob the Builder, Scoop, Dizzy, Rolly, Muck, Spud, Wendy, and Farmer Pickles.
Yeah, and again, we haven't got any of these. I think that this would be a really fun set, but it just hasn't happened.
And then for 2024, last year's wish list. So for my list, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with Wayne Zielinski, All the Kids, and then the Ant as a pop rides, which unfortunately we didn't get any pops for that. And that was an example of if I'm doing the list throughout the year and I'm like, oh, I need to write that down so I don't forget. This would have been one I totally would have forgot if I didn't write it down right away. So yeah, we haven't gotten Honey, I Shrunk the Kids pops. A set of Fortnite pops featuring Jonesy with the Battle Bus pop rides, Lieutenant John Llama, Peely Bone, a glow-in-the-dark sour gumbo, a Knights of the Food Court 3-pack, and then do-it-yourself Fortnite pops, which I'm actually surprised there weren't any more, even if it was only 4 more like we seen with the sets in 2023, especially as Comic-Con exclusives. Then I put down Machamp from Pokemon. That has yet to happen in the Pokemon lineup. They still seem to be focusing on either some other gen Pokemons or just revamping Bulbasaur and making him a soft color pop. So yeah, there's no Machamp yet. A set of Meet the Robinsons pops that has Lewis, Wilbur Robinson, the Bowler hat guy with Chase, and then Grandpa Bud. No, there isn't Meet the Robinsons pops, and I wish that there was because I think these would translate very well, especially Grandpa Bud. I think he would be absolutely hilarious. Then I put down Pepsi Add Icons, which this just kind of in general either Pepsi Man himself or even a Pepsi can with arms and legs as the foodies, which we have not gotten at all. So I'm really surprised about that since we have seen hints of Pepsi in Funko Pops. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, haven't gotten anything from that either, whether it's Wendell, the original mascot, or the Crazy Squares. But at this point, either we're never going to get them or somehow we need to get a General Mills NFT set for that to happen. A set of NHL mascots pops featuring Iceberg, Slapshot, SJ Sharky, Wild Wing, Hunter, and Bernie the St. Bernard, which we did not get any of these. The closest thing we have of anything mascot related as of late is those Santa Claus pops either for the NFL or NBA lineup. So if anything, it seems like at this point we're more likely to get Santa Claus with NHL jerseys before we get another round of those NHL mascot pops. Wave 2 of the Trailer Park Boys pops, which features a Bubbles and Ricky in hockey jersey 2-pack, Ricky with his car, the Green Bastard, Jim Leahy, and Randy, which we have not seen a Wave 2 of Trailer Park Boys. We've only seen that first wave with the 3 main characters, and yeah, I don't know the likeliness of them doing another wave. Hopefully there's another one in 2025, but at this point, I could see them making it either as just a random Funko Shop or exclusive, or when it comes to conventions, the next time Funko decides to come to Fan Expo Canada in Toronto. That could be a way to bring another Trailer Park Boys pop into the lineup. Then we have a set of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody pops that features a Zack and Cody 2-pack, Mr. Mosby, and London Tipton, which I am so ecstatic to say that in the rumor mill, Zack and Cody as a 2-pack is in there, and I am so pumped about that. Finally, along with also, which I didn't put that in my wish list or anything, but Wizards of Waverly Place with Alex, Justin, and Max also on the rumor mill. So holy 2025 is actually going to be insane if these end up coming true with some of the lineups that we still like with sets of pops coming out for those. Oh my god, my money's going to burn if all of these pops end up coming true, especially 100% going to be buying that Zack and Cody 2-pack. And if that's the only pop we get for Sweet Life, that's fine with me. You got to do those characters. And then last but not least, Phineas and Ferb with the set featuring Phineas, Ferb, Dr. Doofenshmirtz, and then Perry the Platypus with the Chase, of course, being regular Perry, and then Detective Perry as the Chase likely is what I would have written down. And no, there's no Phineas and Ferb pops, although I think there's new seasons coming out if I'm not mistaken. That could be something that happens very soon, especially when we're starting to see shows like Wizards of Waverly Place and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody be transformed into pop form. Very soon we gotta see Phineas and Ferb. Hopefully that does end up happening. If it's not 2025, I could see it very likely being 2026. So for MD's list, so MD, you first wrote down a set of Muppets pops for 2024 featuring Ralph the Dog, Statler and Waldorf as a a 2-pack, Scooter, and then a 2-pack of Beaker and Dr. Bunsen Honeydew.
Yeah, we haven't got any of these pops per se, but we have gotten a couple different Muppets pops this year, so hopefully maybe next year we get a bunch of these. That would be very awesome.
Yeah, and I believe in the rumor mill, there is supposed to be a Statler and Waldorf 2-pack coming out, so technically correct at the moment, according to the leaks on MD Shady's list. And I guess following that trend, King of the Hill pops featuring Hank, Dale, Boomhauer, Bill, Peggy, and Bobby.
I haven't seen anything for the rumor mill for these, but I think that this could easily happen considering there is a reboot essentially of King of the Hill happening, I think, sometime next year.
Yeah, King of the Hill is on the rumor mill. I thought for some reason I sent you that, especially with one of the thumbnails, because I mentioned it in the video. But yes, almost all of these pops are correct. The only ones I believe is Peggy and Bobby aren't on the list. But Hank, Dale, Boomhauer, and Bill are on the list, and they recently did another one where it's going to be Hank and the Lawnmower as a pop rides. That's going to be exclusive, so that's going to be insane. Next up on the list is the Big Comfy Couch that features pops of Lunette with Molly, Major Bedhead, Granny Garbanzo with Snickle Fritz, a Flock Dust Bunnies 2-pack, and then the Foley Family 3-pack.
Yeah, we haven't seen this either, which is so unfortunate. I think these pops would look so amazing, but I have seen some Big Comfy Couch stuff like coming out, like with, I forget what company it is, but they've been doing some different clothes as well as like stuffed animals, I guess you could say, like plush dolls. So maybe they want to partner with Funko. That'd be really awesome.
Next set is Recess featuring pops with TJ, Gus, Mikey, Spinelli, Gretchen, Vince, and then you mentioned Comic-Con exclusives of Randall, King Bob, Ms. Finster, and Principal Prickly.
Yeah, we haven't seen this either, and this sucks because I think that these pops would be amazing.
A set of SpongeBob SquarePants pops that features Larry the Lobster, a glow-in-the-dark Flying Dutchman, Patchy the Pirate, and a Mary and Baby Prune 2-pack.
Yeah, we have not gotten any of these pops. We did get quite a bit of different SpongeBob pops for the anniversary this year, but most of them were all just different versions of SpongeBob himself.
And add icons of Vlasic Stark from Vlasic Pickles.
Yeah, we haven't seen this either. Like I said earlier, the add icons lineup I felt was pretty lackluster this year. We haven't really seen a ton of new characters.
A pop albums of Mac Miller's Swimming.
We also haven't seen this. I don't think that there's been too many albums really coming out this year either, so I'm not really surprised, but maybe one day we will see it.
A 2-pack of Rod and Todd Flanders for The Simpsons.
We also did not get this. We got a couple different Simpsons pops, and the newest wave looks pretty dang good, but it does not have them in it.
A pop of Penelope Pussycat from the Looney Tunes set.
Yeah, I think besides like a couple different con exclusives and the NFT set, that's all we've really gotten for Looney Tunes. So yeah, no Penelope yet.
And last but not least, a person that's actually going to be a special guest on our very last podcast coming out in a couple of weeks. It is Tristan from Top Pops.
Yeah, this isn't a pop yet. Of course, you can get the U2s of him as well as like the plush versions, but I think it's just a matter of time. I think eventually there will be a Top Pops Funko Pop.
All right, so now I guess it's now time for the official 2025 version of the wish list. And like we mentioned, the podcast is coming to an end in a couple of weeks. So that means this is the official last wish list podcast in a Funko Popcast history, which I guess it's a little sad, but a little bittersweet at the same time. And so I guess what we might as well do, MD, you'll mention your wish list, I'll get my reaction, and then it's vice versa. Here we go, guys. MD Shady's 2025 wish list.
All right, yeah, this wish list was a little bit hard to put together, but I think I got some good stuff, whether it's brand new sets, singular pops, or revisiting old sets. So starting off with the first set of pops, this is for a show that has never had pops before, and that is the Magic School Bus. I think that this could be a really awesome set, of course. You could do all the kids, but I narrowed it down to 3 pops, I think, for like a soft startup or whatever Funko's calling it. So those 3 pops would be Miss Frizzle with Liz Ard, I guess. I never realized that that was the name of the lizard that Miss Frizzle has. And then the second pop would also be Miss Frizzle. I don't know if it would be maybe a different dress that she's wearing, but that would be with the Magic School Bus itself. So it would be a Pop Rides. I think that just makes so much sense. And then the last pop I have is Arnold, because I think he's like kind of the fan favorite character. He's always so worried about going on all these different school trips. So I think that that would be perfect for that.
Yeah, that would be a pretty sweet set of pops.
And the next set of pops I have here is a set that if this happened, I would pop huge. It would be so awesome. Bear in the Big Blue House. I think that these pops would be very, very cool. So the first pop that I have is Bear with Trilo. I think that that makes sense. You don't have to do Trilo on its own. You can just have him with Bear, and I think that that works because he could kind of be like climbing up on his shoulder. And I feel like the Bear pop would have to be pretty big, so I don't know if they want to do a 6-inch, but if they went with that route, I wouldn't be surprised. And then the next pop I have is Tutter. Tutter's an awesome character. That is the small little blue mouse from the show. I was originally going to put Tutter with someone else, but I'm like, I feel like a lot of people would want to buy a Tutter pop on its own. And then I have a 2-pack of Pip and Pop, Ojo, which is the smaller bear, and then I put Shadow Moments, so I don't know if they'd be able to pull off doing Shadow as its own character, but I think if they did a different version of Bear, where you can see the wall with Shadow kind of being there, I think that that would be very, very interesting. And then last but not least, I have Luna as well, the moon. I think that you would have to add her to this set.
Good night, good night, good... Dude, I watched this show so much as a kid, and so that would be pretty sweet. I feel like if I were to get one, it would have to be the moon for some reason.
And then the next set of pops that I have here is for an already existing set, which hasn't been touched in years, and that is Family Guy. I can't believe that we haven't got any more Family Guy pops. When you look at the set of the Simpsons pops, or even like the South Park pops, with the Simpsons obviously a huge set and South Park being a pretty decently sized set as well, when you look at Family Guy only having 4 pops, it is crazy to me. I think you need to have Lois, Meg, Chris, and then I went with Quagmire, Joe, and Cleveland. There's an abundance of characters that you can do, but I think that it makes sense to get the other members of the family that we haven't got, and then as well as some of the neighbor characters, Peter's best friends.
More Family Guy pops would be sweet, especially because YouTube's has been capitalizing on a lot of Family Guy moments, especially the evil monkey in Chris's closet. So that would be wicked if we can get some new Family Guy pops. It's got to happen soon, and especially wasn't this year. I feel like this year was like the 25th anniversary or the 30th. I don't remember. I know it was a big anniversary this year for Family Guy, so I'm surprised they didn't capitalize it at all.
And then the next pop that I have written down is actually a 3-pack. I was originally going to do like 6 different pops for this set, but I figured I think that a 3-pack would just be fine on its own. And that is for the show Sonic Underground, where basically in this 3-pack you have Sonic, Sonia, and Manic as well. I think that this would be awesome. Sonic Underground is one of my favorite like Sonic anything when it comes to like TV shows, movies, the games. I loved Sonic Underground so much, so I would love to see this 3-pack.
I mean, I guess this definitely would make sense because, of course, Sonic 3 coming out in theaters very soon as we are recording this podcast. But as this gets released, I believe Sonic 3 would already release in theaters, and I would have already seen it at that point. Yeah, some new Sonic pops be pretty cool, especially with new characters like we've been seeing with the recent waves.
And then, of course, it being my list, I have to add at least one ad icon. And I thought of one that was very interesting to me. It's a character that I feel is like pretty dang well known, and that is McGruff the Crime Dog. I think that this would be a really cool addition to the ad icons set. I don't know, like it would be wicked with his little like detective kind of coat and hat that he has on. I think that this would turn out really good, and maybe even see a flocked version.
Yeah, I don't know if I can say much about this because it's not ringing a bell of who this is in my mind, so I can't really say. Oh, MD is going to quickly show me a photo of McGruff the Crime Dog. That's what you said? Okay, I kind of remember it now, but not so much. But yeah, that looks pretty cool.
And then the next pop that I have listed down is definitely a pop that we could see multiple versions of holding different items or eating different items, and that is Elf. I'm surprised we haven't seen an Elf pop yet. Funko has already had the license for this character because we did see way back in Du Jour the Elf Wacky Wobbler, so I think it'd be an easy one for them to pick back up. You can have, of course, like him eating a bird or a cat or whatever. You can have a flocked version. There's so many different versions that we could see, but I just simply just wrote Elf because I'd be glad to see anything that would get.
I think we all know who'd be first in line for an Elf pop. It's Mr. Tristan from Top Pops, because he's always incorporate, well, not always, but once in a blue moon, he will incorporate Elf into his videos. Elf, I'm surprised that we still, to this day, have not seen any Alf Funko Pops when we've seen other companies do figures. Like, I believe NECA's been doing a few figures of Alf as of late. So, Funko, you got to get on that train, especially for, once again, another pop for Tristan to pick up.
Then the next pop that I have listed down is the one and only pop albums that I put on my list, and that is for Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. I think this would be really cool. I don't know if it would have to be a deluxe pop, but I feel like you have to have Mick Fleetwood and Stevie Nicks as the pops. I don't think you could just do like Fleetwood or just do Stevie Nicks. I feel like you have to have both of them. So maybe it would be more of like a deluxe version where you do get two characters and they're posed like how they are on the cover, and obviously in black and white.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool idea. I think Fleetwood Mac would be pretty sweet to see in pop form. And yeah, that album, I believe, is like a white cover, if I'm not mistaken. I'm kind of drawing a blank of what exactly is going on, but I remember it's like white for the majority of the part of the album cover. So yeah, that would be pretty sweet.
Then the next set of pops that I have is for Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. I'm surprised we haven't seen this. It just makes sense. I mean, they pretty much, I would assume, have the licensing with Disney, so it would be really cool to do this, and I guess Pixar too at that point. But yeah, the pops that I listed, I kept it simple. I could have added a bunch of characters to this, but I went with Buzz, Miranova, Booster, as well as XR, and I wouldn't even be upset if this was a 4-pack or if it was like two packs. It doesn't really need to be all singular pops, in my opinion.
You definitely know I'd be all over this set if it ended up happening. I believe, I'm not mistaken, that I did mention this in like 2022 or something. And yeah, I think having those 4 would be absolutely perfect, especially like XR. Like, XR has a really unique look to him to where he would translate very well into pop form.
The next pop that I have is one of those pops that I think if this were to release, it would be one of those huge pops for Funko that sells very, very well. And that is for Pingu, the penguin. Oh, I think this would be so good. I think that people would be all over this because he's such a beloved character that basically everybody knows at this point, unless you're like pretty young, because the show's been out for quite a long time now. I don't know if they're still doing episodes or not. I'm going to guess that they're probably not, but who knows? It could be one of those random shows that you're like, holy crap, they're still doing episodes of the show. I think you would definitely have to have in the top flap where it says Newt Newt. I think that that would be so perfect, and I don't see why Funko doesn't get on this.
Just like the meme and the recent Funko Pop that came out for Futurama, shut up and take my money, because I'd be all over having one of these pops.
And then the last part of my list here is a last set, and that is for Malcolm in the Middle. I think that this would be an amazing set as well. I think people would be all over having like a Dewey pop, which I do have listed here. So the pops that I have listed are, of course, Malcolm, Dewey, Reese, Hal, Lois, and then I think you could probably get away with doing like a con exclusive of their older brother Francis. I think that would be really cool as well. And like, it would be really cool to see some different con exclusives of different variants of some of these characters, like Dewey, like doing the Dewey dance, I think would be hilarious as well. But just keeping it to be a simple set of like 5 or 6 pops, I think is also a decent idea.
Yeah, Malcolm in the Middle would be pretty sweet. One of those TV shows that I definitely watched as a kid. And yeah, perfect small set. I don't think you really need any more. But I guess at this point now, because that was your last one, I will mention my top 10 wish list for 2025. The first one is for an existing lineup, one that we both collect a lot of, and that is a brand new wave of Yu-Gi-Oh! This year, Yu-Gi-Oh! Celebrates, I think it's 25 years, if I'm not mistaken, if you're counting the date of when it released in Japan and not in the US. It was kind of difficult to like choose a wave for stuff that we haven't seen yet that I would like to see. Celtic Guardian, Pot of Greed, Exodia Necros, Flame Swordsman, Grandpa Moto, and it could either be a separate pop or perhaps a pop town, since they still do those. Weevil Underwood, one of those weird obscure villains that I think would look really good as a Funko Pop. A 2-pack of Arcana and the Red Dark Magician. I've been saying this for quite a while now. And then one I put as I feel like it would be a great pop as a Comic-Con exclusive, and that is the character of Bandit Keith.
Yeah, I definitely debated on putting a Yu-Gi-Oh! Pop or 2 on my list, but I didn't end up doing that, so I'm glad that DK did. And yeah, a lot of those characters are characters that I've been really wanting to see, like Flame Swordsman, Celtic Guardian, as well as Pot of Greed are some pops that I've talked about on the channel before. The set is really cool, but there are some characters that we're getting where it's like, do we really need like the Silent Swordsman like right now? Like this could be later on, rather than getting like very notable characters like Pot of Greed.
The second set that I have on my list is for the Amazon Prime show The Boys, which I seen for the very first time this year when I had Amazon Prime for my 30-day free trial. And for the pops I have here, they're basically based off of the recent season because of the fact that I believe season 5 and the final season doesn't release until 2026. So I feel like they could do a decent amount of pops for a wave for the recent season. So first I have Billy Butcher with the Compound V, along with Huey as the Web Weaver, a bloody Homelander, Ashley with a bald Chase, if you know, you know, Annie January, which of course that is the person behind Starlight, and then Ryan. I think that'd be perfect because he's played a huge role.
Yeah, I haven't seen that much of The Boys. I think I haven't even basically gotten through all of season 1, but I've heard only good things about it. Some of these definitely sound like good ideas, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do see at least most of what was mentioned.
This next set I have on my list is kind of something that I feel like MD would have put down, but I'm really surprised that he didn't. It seems like a very MD shady set to put down here, and that is for the Canadian TV series Reboot. And for this set of pops, I only have 4 listed. I have Bob, Enzo Matrix, Dot Matrix, and Megabyte. I think that would be 4 perfect pops. You got the main characters and of course the main villain.
It's funny that you mentioned that I might add this to my list because I almost did. Definitely makes sense. I would like to see these pops.
The next set is for the Pop Rocks lineup, and this is something I did allude to during our Pop Rocks podcast, I guess I would call it. And so that is a set of 3 Days Grace Funko Pops, where we would have pops of Neil Sanderson, Barry Stock, Brad Walsh, Matt Walsh, the current singer of the last 10 years, and the return of the god himself, Adam Gontier. This would be perfect, of course. Adam Gontier returning to the band. They're about to do this big tour. As we are recording this, the new single Mayday, the first song with Adam Gontier in over 10 years, had released, and the question is, it's not have I listened to it, but how many times have I listened to it? But yeah, I would love to see 3 Days Grace pops, and I would definitely be all over that.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I would love to see 3 Days Grace pops, especially with Adam Gontier being back in the band. I think that that is a really good idea, honestly, and I would not be surprised if this does happen.
And continuing on with the Pop Rocks lineup, but with one singular pop, and that is of Randy Rhoads, my favorite guitarist of all time. Recently, especially within 2023 and 2024, seeing an abundance of Ozzy Osbourne pops, and Randy Rhoads being Ozzy's first guitar player in a solo band, that I feel like it would make sense at some point that we would actually get Randy Rhoads himself. And I don't know the likeliness of them doing like a pop albums, because of course they have been really slowing down the pop albums, because I would easily say a deluxe albums of Blizzard of Oz, and you can have another version of Ozzy, have Randy Rhoads, and a couple of the other members. But I feel like at this point it's just going to be him by himself for a pop, instead of like, let's say, under the Ozzy Osbourne lineup per se.
Yeah, I would also like to see a Randy Rhoads pop. I think that it makes a lot of sense. I think it would just be a cool pop in general.
This next set of pops comes from a different set of toys that actually released in 2024. And I also kind of mentioned about this recently on the podcast, actually. And that is a mashup of WWE and TMNT. Mattel did their figures involving WWE superstars as TMNT characters, which I just kept it the same list as the action figures we've seen. So we have Seth Rollins as Leonardo, Rey Mysterio as Raphael, Kofi Kingston as Mikey, Xavier Woods as Donatello, Cody Rhodes as Casey Jones, and Roman Reigns as Shredder, which I think the majority of these mashups are pretty cool, but I am a little bit questionable about like why did they have Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston in this case, when I feel like they should have also added Big E to do the New Day, or just had 2 different superstars. I honestly can't think off the top of my head of like what would be a good mashup of a WWE superstar with a TMNT character that isn't what's listed, because I do love the Cody Rhodes as Casey Jones. I think they did a great job on that. Roman Reigns as Shredder is okay. It makes sense at the time when he was like the top heel of the company. And then the Rey Mysterio one actually looks really nice. If they could switch Kofi and Xavier for 2 different wrestlers, I think that that would be a very good wave of mashup pops here, considering that they've done a lot of mashup pops as of late, especially TMNT and Masters of the Universe.
Oh, I lost a sigh. Yeah, that would be really cool to see this. This is a great set of Mattel figures that I want to add to my collection, but I don't have them yet. So yeah, I would love to see them in pop form too. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, I have to agree that it is a little weird to see Kofi and Xavier Woods in this set, when I feel like there's superstars right now that are way more popular that could have been added to this set. But I would love to see these. I think that these could be very well executed in pop form.
The next set of of pops I have here is actually a set of pops that somehow, some way, I have never mentioned on our wishlist podcast ever, and I could have sworn I thought I mentioned them in like the 2020 rendition, which would have been, I think, the first one, and that is for The Outsiders. So this is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's also obviously a book before that, but the set I have here is Ponyboy Curtis with a blonde-haired Chase, Derry Curtis, Soda Pop Curtis, Johnny Cade, and then Dally Winston. I think that's a perfect 4 to 5, I guess 6 if you count the Chase Pop set, especially depending on where they go with Outsiders. Is it for the movie or is it for the books? Because if it's for the books, you can do all the different greasers, but if it's for the movies, you can't, because of course Steve is played by Tom Cruise, who for some reason doesn't allow his likeliness to be released in a lot of different merchandise and figures, and that's why there was a movie, I believe it's The Mummy, where they did have a pop of his character, but was quickly removed from the shelves, and only a few of them are out there, and it's worth quite a bit of money. But that's also why we've never gotten Mission Impossible pops or Top Gun pops, especially with how popular Maverick was a couple of years ago. So I feel like if it's the movies, it's likely the set that I mentioned, but if it's the books, then you can do all the characters, because of course it's not relating to the actors that portrayed those characters.
Yeah, I never even thought of Outsiders pops. This would be brilliant, and I love the idea of that chase. I think that just makes so much sense. And yeah, it could just be a pretty easy set like that. I think that's a perfect idea.
The next set I have here is a set of pops for Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. And that is because in 2025, it's going to be the 20th anniversary of that movie, which seems that it's one of those wish lists where it seems like it's likely going to happen. This was also a bit difficult considering that we actually saw a couple of what could have been a part of that set in the form of the dark side pops. The pops I put down, Anakin Skywalker with the ETA-2 Jedi Starfighter from the beginning of the movie, a newer Chancellor Palpatine before he gets electrocuted and all of a sudden so wrinkly, and electrocuted Mace Windu, a hooded Anakin Skywalker where it's that one scene right as he lands on Mustafar and you do see yellowish red eyes, a version of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm thinking that it's either him on the higher ground as a deluxe or perhaps right at the end of the movie where he's holding baby Luke, and then I called this robotic Anakin where he's being assembled as Darth Vader, but you see that he's like burnt to a crisp. He's got the robotic legs, so I think that'd be pretty cool. And then one that's very likely, because of course they milk the hell out of Darth Vader yelling out no, so his arms are like spread out.
Yeah, this is a good idea to me. These sound like Star Wars pops that I would actually want for my collection rather than some of the stuff that we've been getting recently.
This next pop I have on here, I mentioned to MD Shady that I might get him to laugh a little bit with this one, so technically the way I'm writing this is an ad icon pop, but you probably wouldn't consider this an ad icon. It's Vinny from Sticker Mule. If you guys have seen the advertisements, if you have not seen the advertisement, I feel like you're just lying at this point, because every time I pull up YouTube, I'm always getting that advertisement of Sticker Mule, Vinny sitting at the bar. It's like, hey, where'd you get that shirt? I got it from Sticker Mule. Oh, can I get one? I don't know. Do you want to get one? Oh, can I get one with shrimp? You know that people are allergic to shrimp, huh? And then the guy turns into a shrimp. Like that's like the only advertisement that ends up appearing on my phone every single time I go and watch a YouTube video, which, remember kids, watch your advertisements because, you know, the money goes into people's pockets, like myself and MD Shady. That's besides the point. That'd be freaking hilarious.
Yeah, that's definitely a funny idea, and I wouldn't mind it being in the ad icons lineup. So just another pop to add to that set that I love to collect.
And then the last set of pops to end off this podcast. I did put Toy Story on this list. And even though Toy Story is on a leaked list at the moment for the 30th anniversary of the first movie, we've seen some cool pops listed like Al, Andy. There's also going to be a moments of Woody and Buzz Lightyear. And then also the addition of Sid being a specialty series exclusive. That was a set that I originally had listed throughout the year until that got confirmed and I had to move it. But I listed this as a Toy Story Funko NFT set, Series 1. So here are the pops with the different rarities that I have, and I think this would kind of work out perfect because, of course, you got some characters characters that obviously you're going to get an abundance of. You know who I'm talking about. But also characters that I feel like are not going to be turned into a Funko Pop throughout this wave. So for the Grail, I have Woody, and there's two different ideas that I have for Woody. It's either more of a deluxe form where he has Fruit Loop cereal eyes after he's dunked his head into the cereal bowl, or it's him holding Buzz Lightyear's arm when he's like pretending, hey, Buzz Lightyear's here. For the legendaries, I have Dr. Sid when he's like constructing Hannah's doll into the pterodactyl head, and then he has the mask on so that it's a bit different from the Sid that we're likely going to get as a specialty series exclusive. Then speaking of Hannah herself, I think is a pop that is likely not going to be done in this set. It would be nice, but I feel like it's not going to happen. So in the NFT form, that'd be pretty cool. And then Spider Baby. I think the Spider Baby is another thing that I don't think is going to get being made in this set, but makes sense for the NFTs. An ultra figure I put down, because that's a new rarity, is Buzz Lightyear with the rocket, and this would be the moment he's like super sad because he's found out he's actually a toy and not actually a space ranger, and you also make it a glow in the dark figure. And then last but not least, for the royalty, it is Sid's dog Scud, and it makes sense considering that because it's Disney, there won't be Freddy Funkos or Frannies or Protos being made as the royalty. And yeah, all these pops I based off of the scene of when Woody and Buzz are stuck at Sid's house.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. I would love to see a Toy Story NFT set, and with these pops, that would be amazing. If there was a Spider Baby pop, oh, I would need that. Or like, I doubt it would ever happen, but the fishing rod with legs, like how could you make that look like a Funko Pop? I don't know. But definitely the Spider Baby, that'd be a really good way to kind of incorporate one of those toys at least from Sid's house. Yeah, this is a great idea. I would definitely have to get on this drop if this were to happen.
Anyways, guys, that is going to be the end of this edition of a Funko Popcast. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know on what pops you hope are going to be releasing in 2025. And we hope to see you guys on next week's podcast of the top 25 Funko Pops of 2024. 1, 2, 3, I'm outie here.
There's no signs of intelligent life anywhere. Peace in, peace out.